Hey everyone, today we're talking about becoming a shareholder. We're talking about stock splits and buybacks. My name is Isaiah Goodman, Chief Financial Advocate at Becoming Financial. So every once in a while in the news, you'll hear about a stock split or a stock buyback. Today I want to talk about what the heck does it mean when a company splits their stock, or even more interesting, a reverse stock split. So if you've ever heard of it, essentially what it means is a company has, let's say, 1,000,000 shares. Of course, there's going to be way more or less than that, but 1,000,000 shares, and they want to do a stock split. Why would they do that? So if they're splitting it from 1 million to 2 million, what do you think that's going to do to the price of their stock? It will actually cut it in half. So by having twice as many shares, you have now cut the value in half of the stock. Now, a company typically does that when they start to see their value of their shares go too high. So if they want most people to be able to kind of feel like they can afford their stock, like $50, $100 per share, they're starting to see their shares go to $200, they'll do a stock split. So they just say, hey, we're going to double the number of available shares for people to purchase, but now they're worth half as much, so back to 100. Now, if you own those shares and you had 100 and they do a stock split, you now own 200. That's it. So it's not super complicated unless they start getting into unequal numbers. So they might do a stock split into 3 or 4. Obviously, they're going to figure out the mathematics to figure out how many new shares you own and what the new value is. If they split it into 4 parts, then yours is worth 25% of the former value. But again, the reason they're doing this is because the value in their eyes has been deemed too high, and they want to lower that stock price. Now, there is an interesting company that's never going to do this. They've never split. It's actually Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, the most valuable share in the world. It's several $100,000 per share. He's never wanted to do a stock split because he doesn't see any good value for it. They actually offer an A that's never split, and they offer a B that's a little bit more affordable per share. So kind of interesting there. If you ever want to own some Berkshire Hathaway, you have to pony up a couple $100,000 for 1 share. Now, the reverse of that is literally called a reverse stock split. I don't know why they didn't come up with something better, but reverse stock split is when you think your price is too low, and so you want to raise the price. So what does that mean? You reduce the number of shares. So if you have 1,000,000 shares and your price is $5 per share, you want to get that maybe back up to $10. You go from 1,000,000 shares to 500,000. So if I'm an owner, I owned 100 shares of a company. Now all of a sudden I only own 50. So my net worth didn't change, but the value of the shares. Now, why would a company do that? There are a couple reasons. Number one, it doesn't look attractive if your price is too low, right? Why would all these other companies be listed at $100, $200, $500 per share, and your company is hanging down there at $32 per share? It just doesn't feel as attractive, right? The other big thing is if it does get too low, your stock could be delisted. So if you've ever heard of penny stocks, typically those have to trade on a different type of market. If your share price is down in $3, $4 per share, S&P 500, all the big indices, they might take them off. NASDAQ, everything, New York Stock Exchange, they might take your share off of the listing because it's too low. And so if I'm a company, I want to stay on that industry, I want to be traded, I'm going to try to do anything I can. So again, when it comes to a reverse stock split, you might see it go 3, 4, 5 to 1. If you owned 100 shares, now you only own 20. Well, now it's worth 5 times as much. So those are the 2 most common. A third one is called a stock buyback. So that's where a company actually has a ton of stock out there. They compensate those share owners to give them the stock back. So kind of like a reverse stock split where there's now fewer shares available, but what's happened? Those shareholders don't own shares anymore. They've been exchanged or compensated in dollars. So if I owned 100 shares that were worth $10 each, the company says, hey, Isaiah, here's $1,000 for your shares. We're going to take those shares off your hands because we don't want them out in the market anymore. A couple reasons for this. That could have some tax benefits for the company. If they've got some extra capital, they don't know what to do with their cash, they can do a stock buyback. That's actually a tax deduction, or it's beneficial for their taxes that coming year. Other big thing, it can affect share price and some ratios. Because if you have fewer shares out there, it might look a little bit better in terms of share price down the road. So again, just some things that companies might do, whether it's a stock split, reverse stock split, or a buyback that could affect you as a shareholder.